Hi, thanks for checking out my presentation. What are Müller-LYER figures? They are visual spatial illusions, meaning they bias size estimation. Specifically, that bias is present in perceptual judgments of the length of the central shaft in Müller-LYER figures. Here is a composite pair of Müller-LYER figures. Which of these figures' central shaft is longer, the figure on the left or the right? Lo and behold, both of the figures' central shafts measure the same length, but the figure on the right is interpreted as longer. Now, what is autistic trait expression? These are traits which are shared between both neurotypicals and those on the autism spectrum. A greater expression of these traits has been linked to increased accuracy in size estimation of illusions. That is, a greater expression of autistic traits is supposed to reduce the magnitude of illusions. Quantifying these traits can be done with self-report questionnaires, as we've done here, using the AQ and the SQ. The former being the Adult Autism Quotient, a scale developed to measure autistic trait expression in neurotypicals and those with high-functioning autism. The latter being the Systemizing Quotient, a scale developed to measure systemizing ability, which is positively correlated with the AQ. Though the AQ has been negatively correlated with susceptibility to the Müller-LYER illusion, the SQ has not yet been investigated for correlation. This study aims to determine whether interpretations of the Müller-LYER illusion's size negatively correlate with AQ and SQ in perception. Discovering relationships between these traits and perception can help advance our understanding of the continuum of perceptual processing. Participants completed our 2 questionnaires and 2 perceptual tasks. In Task 1, participants were asked to discriminate between 2 non-illusory lines on a computer screen. Task 2 was similar, except the pair were composite Müller-LYER figures. The participants had to determine which figure of the pair was longer by button press. Performance in both tasks was measured by the amount of correct figure selections made throughout. Literature covering perception in autism describes a tendency to process elements of stimuli locally rather than globally, relative to neurotypicals. Upon viewing the Müller-LYER figures, neurotypicals tend to see the entire figure as a whole and thus fall susceptible to its illusory contexts of arrowheads. In autism, however, local processing of the parts of the whole would reduce the illusory context's effects when being asked to judge only the central shaft of the figures. We thus hypothesized that there would be no correlation between AQ and SQ scores and participant performance in Task 1, as there is an absence of illusory context. Conversely, we predicted a positive correlation between AQ and SQ scores and performance in Task 2, as there are illusory contexts, and higher autistic trait expression is then predicted to bias processing to be local rather than global, allowing increased accuracy of size estimation. We determined the strength of correlations between AQ, SQ, and performance on both tasks, respectively. The top 2 graphs illustrate the Pearson's correlation between AQ followed by SQ to Task 1 scores, respectively. The bottom 2 graphs illustrate correlation between AQ followed by SQ to Task 2 scores, respectively. All coefficients' confidence intervals were widely spread and contain 0, denoting non-significance and an uncertain correlation. Results support our hypothesis of autistic trait expression and performance on a non-illusory line task having no correlation. However, results do not support our hypothesis of a positive correlation between Müller-LYER figure discrimination and both measures of autistic trait expression. Results of Task 2 contradict findings in similar studies and may be the result of experimental design differences. Some studies have presented their illusion in isolation from their concurrent pair, presenting only one figure at a time and opting to use comparator stimuli, where the participant judges a non-illusory figure to the illusory and determines whether they are the same. Other studies have employed adjustable non-illusory stimuli, where participants adjust the size of stimuli until they believe the 2 objects are of equal size. Concurrent presentation of figures promotes a superadditive illusion magnitude effect by increases in attentional load, a phenomenon we exploited in our tasks. Concurrent presentation and increased attentional load in the present study may then have led to contextual illusory magnitudes that reduced local processing effects in favor of global processing. To conclude with a take-home message, or remain-home message, our results do not support a reduced illusory bias with increases in autistic trait expression. Rather, we found that autistic trait expression, including systemizing, is not positively correlated with performance in Müller-LYER illusion size estimation. Thank you.